Hello again, and today we're going to look at something unusual, a model that I can't really run on my layout because I don't have it. Well, I could, but I don't have the locomotive or anything to haul it or any other passenger cars. It's a Lima SAR South African Railways HO scale Trans Karoo, it's called, passenger coach, a second class coach, still in the original box. Now, this is one of the ones I picked up in a lot and never, God knows how many years ago, and never even opened a box. So I'm sure there's people who are collectors in South Africa are probably going, "What do you mean you never opened it?" They probably want this. Lima went bust in the early 2000s, and they created an enormous range of models. Truly an international company that doesn't get the credit it deserves. That, God, must have brought model railways to millions of people worldwide. I believe at one point in the late 70s, early 80s, they were making 1 million models a year in HO, double O, and N gauge. And they went where no one else went. They built Australian models, they built South African models. They were the first company to produce a true to prototype Irish locomotive, the Class 221, although they did before that produce true to prototype Irish passenger coaches in the Mark IIIs and the Mark IIs. So this is a South African coach. I've never even taken this out of the box. It's been buried away for years, so let's look together. So it's a typical 1970s, early 80s Lima box. Doesn't have a lot of information on it, really. And with the styrofoam packaging. And you do wonder if anyone ever ran this. So I know nothing about the prototype or South African modeling. So anyone from South Africa, please, bear with me. I'm going to be fudging a lot of this. It's stuck inside. That's how old it is. Okay, I have to go something around. Okay. So there it is. It has some scratches on it there. Probably just from age or wear and tear. But it clearly says SAR, South African Railways, Cape Town. There's the number, and it's a second class coach. So we'll take it out of the packaging completely and put this out of the way, and we'll have a proper look at it. Okay, first thing I notice is it's so different than anything I'm used to. There's very little, there's no underframe detail. It just says Lima, Italy, and even the battery boxes and the cylinders, the brake wheel there, you can see they're low relief. They're not even modeled all the way around, which tells me that this is probably one of Lima's oldest models, because I've seen really old Italian models they've done. There's a scratch. Is it a scratch? Yeah, it's a little bit scratched there. So the model itself, if you were to compare it to anything, I'd say maybe some German coaches from the 1920s or 30s, Austrian coaches, because of this vestibule that's narrowed, the narrowed vestibule here on either end. Then again, there's lots of Germanic and Dutch influence in South Africa to go along with the British aspect. The roof has these ventilation vents. Again, they look quite well modeled. I wouldn't be an expert on this. And at the end, it even has the corridor connections, which are very similar to German style corridor connections, as are the bogies. Remind me of some that you see on many European trains. So although the window arrangement is very very narrow, small, very un-European. And this could be because of the heat in South Africa, I don't know. The lettering, it's okay. It's applied with a drop shadow, although they've missed it here a little bit on this end. But the drop shadow looks really good on this one, and on the South African SAR logo. Cape Town does not have a drop shadow. I'm assuming this is like maybe the restaurant end. This would be the bathroom over here. Maybe there's a bathroom here. Maybe a luggage compartment there. The color scheme is a kind of a brown, not dissimilar to the Pennsylvania Railroad Tuscan brown. Very similar to that in tone. Quite an attractive livery, I have to say, the brown and the grey. Very attractive, actually. The wheels are metal, and they've got the big flanges, which is fine for Code 100 track, and great for not derailing. I get the impression this might have been sold in a train set in South Africa to, like Lima did everywhere, to get people to model trains. The glazing is kind of semi-flush. You can see it has the silver around the edge, but it's not. It's quite recessed. It's fairly recessed, actually, the glazing. But it still looks good, I have to say. It looks really good. The metallic border on the window. There's no detail of any great significance here. There's the door handle. There's three actually molded on grab handles, and a rudimentary step here. The bogies don't look too bad. As I said, these are all low relief, and they do look pretty crappy, actually, I have to say. Even for it, maybe Lima didn't know the rest of the thing, but how hard would it have been to continue this cylinder around, or this box around? So, you know, I've seen that on some of the very, very old Italian models that they did back in the 60s. But yeah, I mean, this is the corridor connections are black plastic that are separately applied. You can see the roof there is a separate molding. And it looks like the roof and the glazing are all the same molding. They are. So basically, the windows snapping into the openings is what holds the roof on. You see that in a lot of Lima models. There's no glazing on the end doors. Couplers, well, what do they? I guess they use the standard European coupler in South Africa. I don't know. And it's definitely HO. It's not double O or anything like that. Silver on top. So, I mean, there's really nothing more to say about this because this is all I can tell by the model of looking at it, and I know nothing about South African railways, so if there's anybody out there from South Africa who's ever modeled these or anything, you know, I'd love to hear from you. And so there you go. The oddities that appear in our collections, and I have a few, and this is one of them. A South African Trans-Karoo second-class coach from Lima back in the 1970s, I'd say, way back in the 1970s. So, you know, once again, Lima, fair play to them for being so, you know, daring and catering to foreign markets and everything. You know, they really were the greatest friend of the new modeler all over the world, really. And so that's it. My one and only South African yep, so that's it. My one and only South African coach.